Hi, I'm Ben,
And I'm Zach.
and welcome to the Movie Vault. Today, we are on video for real this time. Like, not the last time where we were like, we're on video, and then we never released the video.
So this is what we look like. Face reveal.
Face reveal check. Although, technically, our face has been on our logo for, like, the last, couple of months.
Which one looks
Also-
good? Oh.
New sweatshirt. Here's our merch that we haven't started selling yet.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Yes. And if you're listening to this on the audio version, you'll have to go to youtube.com/ I don't exactly know what our YouTube channel is called yet, but we'll put it in the description.
Yeah, we'll put it we'll put the link in the description. But this is our first video podcast on YouTube. And if you're watching from YouTube, we welcome you. If you're watching on podcast, it's going to be exactly the same. We're just added 30 seconds because of this YouTube intro.
Yes. And this is, so today we are reviewing Taika Waititi's 2019 dark comedy / drama thingy, Jojo Rabbit.
Jojo Siwa.
Jojo Siwa. And this movie grossed $90 million on a $14 million budget with a Rotten Tomato score of 80%, not 90%. Zach, what did you think of this movie?
This is a movie about Hitler and a boy. And I mean, I didn't even come up with like a tagline for it because that's just basically how I want to describe it because it probably caught your attention.
Yes. So Botch Watcher top notch.
Ooh. Botch Watcher top notch. I would say watch. I don't think it's top notch. Taika Waititi has done better things, I think. But what? Are you about to disagree with me?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I would give it a watch.
That was
I don't
your,
know.
that
It's
was
really
your
hard
disagree
to,
phase.
It's I was tricking you. It's really hard to give things top notch, and this was like pretty good, but it's just a watch. You know,
I'm
You
a
have
big
to watch it.
I'm a big Taika fan, so I like Thor Ragnarok and everything. And we just watched a movie. What movie did we watch?
The Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yeah, don't watch that.
What? That was good.
Botch that one.
Zach doesn't like Hunt for the because he didn't watch the movie.
Yeah,
Zach
I
walked
botched
out of the
it.
room and didn't watch like the important parts of the character development and was just like, "Oh, I don't like this movie. It's not good." It was a good movie. Don't listen to him.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'm a little biased.
Okay, so obviously we have sort of hinted at the rather edgy nature of this film, but now we got to explain it in the plot, with our short plot summary that I will begin with. So we start out with this little boy who is friends with Adolf Hitler. No problem there. And but this version of Adolf Hitler is very comical and he makes jokes and he seems sort of fun and like you want to be around him, which obviously Hitler in real life was not like. And we soon find out
Well, Hitler in real life was very charismatic.
yeah, that's
And
true.
Taika Waititi acting in this film is very charismatic, but he probably didn't. Hitler was probably a little bit more serious than Taika Waititi's Hitler.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because this is not the real Hitler that's being portrayed. It's actually the Hitler in the mind of young Jojo. I think he has a full name.
Joanna or something like that. Joanna.
It's Johann, maybe. I don't know.
Johann.
Some sort of German name. And but he, is the primary specimen that every young German 10-year-old at the time of the Nazi German occupation was supposed to be. He loved his country. He followed all the principles, and he didn't really question them or why they were bad. He just took them at face value, and he listened to them. And he went to this camp where he was learning about how to be a good German. But unfortunately, he could not kill a rabbit. They wanted him to kill this rabbit, and he didn't do it. And so because of that, people started making fun of him and calling him Jojo Rabbit.
Although they call him that in that scene, but then after that, they don't really call him that much.
Yeah, it's more like just that scene. Maybe there was one other time that they call him that.
It's like in the beginning of the movie. Oh, that's why the movie's called Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, the one thing about this movie is they really they're like kind of heavy-handed in the satire department. They really get at you the first film that like, oh, this is like in Nazi Germany. Okay, we really get the picture.
They're really in your face about it's like stuff that's uncomfortable to talk about, like Hitler, Germany, the swastika, stuff that you wouldn't really like think about and like as to like base a movie off of, especially a comedy or a satire. They really rub it in your face at the beginning.
Yeah, and you're like, where is this film going? What is the point of this? Well, we get into the plot. So his mom is not as staunch of a Nazi, and we find out that she's actually very against the Nazi party, and she is harboring a young Jewish girl, or not. She's like, I don't know, in her teens probably.
We should probably say young because of the love connection, you know.
Yeah, and so Scarlett Johansson plays the mom, and she is trying to hide the girl without without her son knowing, because she's afraid that he'll tell, you know, the people that he knows from the Nazi party that are sort of indoctrinating him. But he does find her, but he doesn't want his mom to get in trouble and die, so they sort of form this pact where, like, he lets her live and she doesn't kill him for telling his mom or whatnot.
It's a good deal.
And but he sort of argues with his imaginary Hitler buddy with what he should do with this young girl. And so he's like, you should study her and write a book. So he starts writing a book called Yoo-Hoo
Jew.
Yoo-Hoo Jew, yes. And it's supposed to be making fun of Jewish people, but he sort of, as he gets to know Elsa is her name, not to be confused with the princess, but Elsa, the Jewish girl in his home, he starts to realize,
I think Elsa's a queen.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah, she is a queen. But she starts out as a princess.
You're right.
So, but he starts to, you know, become rather fond of Elsa, and he is sort of like, in his mind, like when he's arguing with Hitler, he doesn't really like Elsa, but he really deep down inside does. And so, because of this connection, he sort of starts to do things that help her, including not turning her over to the Gestapo when this really, really tall Gestapo agent comes over with 5 others.
He could have walked up face to face with Yao Ming.
Yeah, he did seem like he was that tall. And they find a way for her. Well, she actually is very inventive, Elsa, and pretends to be his sister, who is. It's not really specified whether she disappeared or is dead, but it seems like they don't know whether she's dead for sure. And because of this, they get away with it. But they needed the help of Sam Rockwell, who played Captain Klenzendorf, who is the sort of comedic officer who is alcoholic who got assigned to being the children's officer. And but he's actually ends up being good-hearted and really helping our young Jojo out quite a bit during the film. And so eventually it ends with the Nazi occupation being destroyed through a non-historically accurate event. I mean, they mentioned stuff about how, like, every country in the world was going against, but I think that was just some of the kids not knowing the correct information about what was actually going on.
They had all these mythoses about, like, Hitler. Like, Hitler was, like, really great, and he ate unicorns for lunch, and he, like, or dinner, I don't know. Like, he had these amazing mystical aspects about him, and, like, they would make up these things about Jews, like the devil was controlling their minds, or like they have horns, or they eat souls. I don't know, something like that. So they'd make up these myths and teach these children all these different things just because they wanted them to believe in a certain way. And you can tell because all the kids are the same. They kind of believe, like, oh, killing is great. He's like, oh, I love killing in the beginning. It was so funny. I mean, whatever. And so they're really, like, indoctrinating these kids really young. And you can tell because they're sending these 11, 10-year-olds to war. Like,
yeah, that's what they're satirizing. They're like, these kids not only are being trained as, like, sort of, like, propaganda machines, but then at the end of the movie, they are actually in the war, which is obviously not how it actually happened, but I think it's the movie's way of, like, trying to show what these kids were being told to do. But Yorkie is actually a really interesting character. He's the little boy who is best friends, or second best friends, with Jojo.
Only short of the Fuhrer.
Because he's sort of the guy. He sort of does what the Nazi German occupation wants, but he's always like, I don't understand. I met Jewish people. I didn't see what was wrong with them. But he's just sort of, like, mindlessly doing everything that they tell him to, even though he's, unlike Jojo, who believes every bit of the propaganda. He's sort of, like, is the opposite of that. But he's still doing the same thing. Jojo is actually the one who starts not doing those things. And I don't know. It's just a really interesting, like...
He actually has the quote of the movie.
He does.
I think it was... I'm a regular kid stuck in a fat kid's body.
Yeah, because I think Jojo said something about Hitler being, if he could be his best friend if he was Hitler trapped in a fat boy's body. But he's like, nah, I'm just a regular kid in a fat kid's body, which is a great quote. Which there's a lot of good quotes in this movie. It's very well. I don't know whether I would say it's a very quotable movie, just because some of the quotes might come off as kind of
Vulgar.
Yeah, vulgar and like offensive out of the context of the movie, possibly.
Yeah.
But in the context of the movie, they're pretty good. But that's the overall synopsis of what happens in Jojo Rabbit. So now we're gonna go figure out what other people thought about this movie, which I figured that this movie would be somewhat controversial because of its portrayal of certain people. But Peter Bradshaw, I don't know what exactly he was saying here, but he said this movie is a pointless Hitler spoofy YA adventure with 12A certificate, obtusely accentuating little kid cuteness and optimism amid the quaintly imagined non-horror.
Wow, jeez.
I don't actually understand what any of that meant, really. I don't know what a 12A certificate is. I think it might have to do with graduating high school in England.
Well,
I think
I like how he can't like spell the words young adult. They
Yeah, he
like
has to say
abbreviate it. YA. I know a lot of movie critics do that.
Yeah.
But I always like who's our YAs out there? Like most of our listeners are probably YAs.
Yeah,
know?
we do. 50. I think it's
51%.
51% of our audience is 18 to 22, which is still sort of young adult. And so
Sort of.
I guess this movie is for you, according to Peter Bradshaw. He also gave this a 1 out of 5, so not a very good score.
Yeah, but it's really accurate to go out of 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's not a real movie critic. Real movie critics grade out of 4.
No, real movie critics rate out of 10.
A 10 point, actually 100 point scale, but 10 point sort of.
That's true. It is a 100-point scale based on 10 factors.
Yeah. Of course, you could always go for the 1,000 point scale, but that's like, at a certain point, it's like, how much variation can you find? Like, if you go that high, where we're doing like, this movie is we'll give this one a 6.5, because then that turns it into a 1,000 point scale if you start giving decimals.
Yeah,
Like, that
or
would
a
be crazy.
100-point scale with decimals in the percentages. So like, yeah, that's we're not that mathematical.
Eventually, hopefully, we'll do it outside the vault where we try to like figure out how our system works and like figure out what's the good things about it are and the bad things about it are.
Pros
Because
and cons list, like Jim from The Office.
Yeah, because we're using it, and I think it's really interesting to use. But I definitely see that like for certain movies, they would probably be negatively affected by how our list is constructed, and certain movies are more positively affected.
Yeah, because not all aspects of our system cover different points in the movie.
Like if it's a comedy, like you don't really get any extra points for being funny. But not every movie is supposed to be funny, so you can't like have that be necessarily an element. But probably because of that, dramas and those kind of movies might end up doing a little bit better than comedies.
You know, it might be a good thing to put does not apply and then just rate it out of that and still do a percentage. But that's a little bit harder, and we don't want to confuse you, so we're just going to add it.
Yeah.
For now.
All right. But if you're in a war, your country is in a war.
That's
and
true.
Your house gets destroyed. I wish that you would have had home insurance. Because if you didn't, that would be a tough repair without home insurance. But fortunately, we're looking out for you. Because this mic...
Zach and Ben, the boys got you.
Yeah, we got you. This mic was provided by Hedman Anglin Insurance. And they would like to help you out with your auto, home, and business insurance. And so if you're interested in this, we would love it if you called 614-486-7300. That's 614-486-7300. And if you do contact them, make sure to tell them that the boys sent you, meaning me and Zach. And we will, if you do happen to be in a war, you'll be very thankful that this is what you did. Because
You're going to get a new home like that.
I saw some of the destruction of the houses in this movie, and I was like, oh, that was an expensive house. Look at, boom.
Ben,
gone.
when Ben watches a movie or anything in life, he just thinks of the financial security that people have in different situations. Like, if someone's house gets destroyed, oh no. If someone dies, oh no, life insurance. Like, it's a good thing when people die in Ben's world.
Well, like, think about all the money that their family is getting. Okay, that was really dark. This is good. Insurance fraud is bad, but getting insurance for your house is good.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Identity theft is not a joke.
Yeah, that too. Okay, so now we're going to get to our scoring system.
Yeah.
Which we just talked about as how it was kind of we had our first negative view of our scoring system that we talked about on the podcast. But now we'll go back to saying how it's the best rating system, and no other critic has ever made a better rating system than our system. Even if it's not perfect, your system is less perfect than our system. So we're that confident in it. Quality assurance.
Quality insurance.
The movie vault. Quality assurance and quality insurance.
Yeah. All right. Sentiment.
I gave it an 8.
Really, an 8?
Yeah.
You valued this movie.
I did like this movie a lot.
I gave it a 7.
I wanted to give it a 9 though.
9.
9. Get it, guys? Okay.
We actually talked about this joke before the podcast. Or like we have to say that.
This joke was scripted by.
Well, we probably couldn't. None of us have any 9s. I don't think. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
So I think that we just said it in the beginning because.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, maybe 8's a little high, but like I did really genuinely like this movie. Like it's very well thought out and it's very funny.
It's creative, and Taika Waititi has a certain sense of humor. It's kind of like just dryish.
It's dryish. It's kind of like off-putting. I don't know. He definitely went for the more edgy stuff, but like it somehow still seemed like just like wildly childishly funny.
There was one scene where Hitler was like laying in Jojo's bed with like the blanket up, and Jojo walks in and he goes, "You're getting real close with that Jewish girl," and like, and then he's like, and then he like yells at him or something, and then he's like, "I kept your bed warm for you. That's what true friends do." So it's just like really weird to see like Hitler say that to like a kid. So it is off-putting, and I think he did that on purpose to like make the audience like laugh a little bit in this like darkish type of comedy.
Yeah, and also I wanted to mention this movie is based on a book called Caging Skies by Christine Luenes or something like that. She's from New Zealand. That's shocking. Because Taika Waititi is also from New Zealand. But yeah, it's sentimentally good. Message, I gave a 7. How about you?
I give it an 8.
An 8? Okay. Good message in this movie.
Yeah, I like it. It's learning to love, or learning to see that all people have value. Because like obviously these children were taught that there's a certain type of race or people that were lesser than them.
Mm-hmm.
And he slowly learns that like as he just had to get to know her. That was the only thing to realize that like she's not this demon with horns, but she's actually like a real person with feelings and just like him. So and then he actually like likes her eventually, like says that he says I love you to her, even though he's like 10 or 11, a little bit young for my perspective.
Yeah, that was kind of weird, but I think some of the criticism of this message will come from the fact that you're like, well, everyone should know that all races are equal, and that is true. Everyone should know that, but I think that they presented this from a child's perspective actually benefited the movie because he is actually just a child. And imagine growing up a child in Nazi Germany where this is just what you're told. So he has to discover this in a ideal world, he should know that all people are equal and that Jewish people aren't from the depths of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
But because he was raised in Nazi Germany, he is told constantly every day that Jews are less than human, Jews are bad, Jews are monsters, and these huge imagery because they wanted to put fear in their citizens. And so only when he was faced with a real, in-the-flesh Jewish person was he able to realize, oh, these people are not monsters, they do not have horns, they're actually real people. And it's unfortunate that that is the case, but in real life, sometimes people are in those circumstances, and this shows how people are capable of overcoming those circumstances. They can't blame their environment entirely for that perspective because if they accept the right circumstances, they can overcome that.
Yeah, I agree. Very well put, Ben. All right, character arcs.
I give this an 8.
I gave it a 7. So we're pretty close. We're just one off of each other.
We're just one off. Some of this 7, 8 stuff is sort of like hard to figure out exactly why. But I like the character arc of Jojo and Hitler. Did he have a character arc?
Sort of. It was just like he just got angry.
He didn't really grow at all because he only has one point of view that's like this. It's just funny to see.
No, I think Jojo's really the only character arc besides the girl. She kind of has one.
I think Elsa had a character arc. It was just a little bit more subtle.
Yeah, because she was only in about like a third of the movie anyway.
Right.
So
it was hard to see exactly how she changed, but I think some of her conversations with Jojo's mom were like, "Oh, I don't really have a mother figure because I've just gone from house to house, so I'm trying to figure out how to grow up." Those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the actor for Jojo, Roman something, yeah, I think he did a really good job.
Oh, getting good child actors is obviously very difficult because
Griffin something.
Roman Griffin Davis, yes. Because when you're this young, it's just I don't know. It's really hard to nail the role, but he really did. He has this like innocence about him, which is what you want for somebody who's like 10 years old. But he also plays a part where he's like acts a lot older than he actually is, you know.
He says a lot of things that older people say.
So like, why are you offering me cigarettes? I'm only 10.
Yeah.
Because Hitler would always offer him cigarettes. Okay,
right.
How about plot?
Plot, I gave it a 7.
I also gave it a 7.
Oh, wow.
It's
We're
a
very close.
decent plot. Decent plot.
I enjoyed it because it does. I think it fits well with the character arc. It's. They didn't have to explain the context of this movie because it's World War II. Everybody knows like what's happening, so they don't have to explain like that Germany's actually the bad guys. You're just experiencing what it was like to possibly be a kid in World War II under Germany. So I think that specific plot of like just discovery and growing and learning, specifically from the people that we consider the bad guys of World War II.
Yeah.
Like that specifically, I guess it's more originality, but that specifically does well for the plot because it does fit with what the character arcs are.
Yeah, I agree. And one other character arc. I know this is character arcs, even though it sort of fits into the plot. But they showed like different perspectives of how people reacted as being part of the Nazi Germany. So there was the people who are fully immersed in it, such as the Gestapo officers. They were fully going to go for whatever Hitler said. Then you had the people who were sort of the tortured souls who were on both sides, which would be the captain, who helped out but also served under German military. Although you could argue that since he was maybe trying to purposely be ineffective, although I think it's more because it's more of a fault of his. And then finally we have somebody who's going fully against the Germans, which would be ScarJo, yeah. Jojo's mom.
ScarJojo.
Yes. But
ScarJojo, because Jojo has a scar.
But the plot fits these characters really well, so that's why I gave it a 7.
Cinematography.
I gave it a 7.
I gave it a 7.
Yeah, like, I think David was watching it with us. I think he pointed out, like, some of the CGI wasn't super great, which makes sense. It was only a $14 million film. But
and
it's
half of that's probably Scarlett Johansson. So.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, so I enjoyed. There were some good shots. Like the lighting was pretty good, and then I just liked how it kind of looked with like, just like how Germany was set up. It had swastikas everywhere. Obviously, like swastikas represent a bad thing, like a bad regime. But like, it was interesting to see like all the displays of swastikas, and people were like proud of it. You know, like
Yeah.
and it was like a national treasure to them, and they like worshipped it. So it was interesting to see all like the shots of like different places in Germany that like you could see the pride, German pride in all their buildings and architecture and everything like that. So I thought that the cinematography was good because of that.
Yeah, and it like really emphasized certain things. So yeah, it was good in that regard. Originality,
7.
I gave it an 8, but now it's based on a book, so that makes it less original. But still give it an 8.
Let's just say the story in general.
The way that the movie was made is pretty original.
Yeah.
You don't get okay, my favorite movie, Inglourious Basterds, is sort of like this movie in some ways. It's much more violent and like based on adults, but it's also like a sort of semi-comedy that's based in Nazi Germany, but with less. But like Hitler and characters like that are like way more comedic in this movie than they were in that movie. So I think it's just sort of like building on that sort of idea.
Yeah. I agree with that. I don't think anything else can be said about that.
All right, now acting.
Acting, I gave it a 7.
I gave it an 8.
Every time.
Scarlett Johansson is like, she's pretty solid. Like, she's never really.
She's just not in it that much.
She's not in it that much.
That's the only.
She's never really bad, and she had to do like an accent for this one, which I don't even know what the accent was. Like, I know, like when we watch Hunt for the Wilder People, that's set in New Zealand, so they got the New Zealand accent. Were they? I don't know that this was a German accent that they were doing, because they weren't.
If it was, it wasn't that great.
Yeah, it was like an attempt at a German accent, or she was just doing a New Zealand accent, which is confusing.
But it seemed like she meant to do that accent.
So I'm sorry.
ScarJo's very talented.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I don't know accents that well. That's my fault. And Yeah, who else was good? Well, you mentioned that.
Yeah,
guy.
Roman Griffin, blah blah blah. Davis is really good. I think he nailed the part just because you said his innocence and everything.
And then Taika Waititi himself
As Hitler
is amazing. And this is probably the biggest role that he's given himself, because he had like sort of a cameo in Hunt for the Wilder People. He plays Korg, who's hilarious, and that's just voice, but in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, he actually does the stand-up part.
He does the motion capture.
Yeah.
Okay. But this was the biggest role that I've seen. I think in his movie, which I haven't watched this movie, the vampire one he did. I forget what it was called.
I don't know.
That's gonna drive me crazy. But he was the main character in that. But What We Do in the Shadows, yes, that one.
That was him?
Yeah, he was in What We Do in the Shadows, which is like a mockumentary about vampires, and he was like the main character, or one of the main characters in that one.
Was that a show or movie?
Since it's both, actually. So they made a show based on the movie.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, but so he is like, since then he has had small roles, but now you see him back as, oh wow, he's actually like a pretty talented actor too. Sort of like the modern Renaissance man. He can write, direct, and star in his movies, which is cool.
I've seen every role that I've seen Taika in. He's always like the comedic timing, you know. He's always really funny, especially with like the awkward off humor that you said. Yeah. Because when he's Korg, I think Korg is one of the funniest characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
That's Meek. He's got knives for hands.
He's like, Korg, this kid is bullying me again. Or no, he said, yeah, Thor, yeah. But like, it was Noob Master 69.
I think last time we mentioned this, every time he says a line, it's funny. Like, there's not a single line that
because we did Thor Ragnarok, now that I remember. This is the second Taika Waititi movie we've reviewed.
Which means he and Pete Docter are the only people who have the esteemed right to say that they've been on been reviewed twice by the Movie Vault, which is, you know.
So
obviously,
if both of you would like to be on our podcast at one point, we would love to have you on. Although, like, it's a little exclusive because we have so many amazing guest stars, like ScarJo, Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt.
Yeah, he's going to be on next week.
Yeah, so,
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, yeah. Although we might have to cut him. I think we're going to get a bigger actor. I think RDJ is going to come in.
RDJ, yeah.
Sorry, Jakey.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe next time. Maybe Outside the Vault.
Yeah. We'll leave the B-list actors for Outside the Vault. Okay. Anyway, what's next?
Style.
I disagree with. I gave it a 6.
I gave it
a little bit less.
What do you mean? The style was good.
I liked the style.
You liked it.
That's it.
I don't know. Style might be our most difficult and most debated. Like, what does style mean?
It's so interpretive.
Because I feel like style is sort of a combination of cinematography, original, like sort of a combination of all of the things.
It's just, I think style, the best way to put it is how well do all the elements in our list mix well together.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I thought they mixed well together. And apparently Zach didn't think they mixed well.
Good. They mix well together.
But only 6 out of 10.
Yeah, 6 out of 10 is good for both of us, basically.
Yeah. Style is the difficult one, but I like the style. That's all I can say.
I like Taika's style.
Yeah.
It's a good style.
Maybe it wasn't as good as Hunt for the Wilder People. Just kidding. I think it was a little bit better.
No, I like this way better.
But I think I would prefer this. I don't know that I prefer it over Thor Ragnarok. Well, maybe
Hunt for the Wilder People was really long.
That's true. I don't think it was actually that long though.
Maybe it just felt long.
Well, it was like a book format movie, so that made me.
They did it like in 10 chapters.
Chapter 1, Chapter 2,
and each chapter was like 20 minutes.
But like the humor
really.
was
like
I feel like even more dry in that movie. Like you had to really pay attention, which Zach wasn't doing. So
I couldn't. I'm sorry. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't as bad as, Once Upon a Time and whatever Ben's favorite movie is.
This is not my favorite movie.
I know. Whatever.
It might not even be in my top 50.
Sorry, we're gonna have to tell Leo and Brad next week.
Well, we really like you, but
it's more Quentin's fault. Sorry.
My favorite movie, Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't even know what my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie is off the top of my head. So I know he's a good actor, but just can't think of it.
Titanic.
I've never watched Titanic.
What?
I know I need to.
I actually haven't either.
Sorry, James Cameron. I haven't watched Avatar either.
Yeah, and I'm not going to watch the 4 sequels. I'm sorry. It's going to be misguided.
We're not doing those on this podcast.
Yeah, like we're going to boycott those. We're going to do an episode about how bad they are without seeing them. We're going to judge a book by its cover, a movie by its cover.
Yeah, I just didn't like this cover that much.
We should do a segment called Judge a Movie by its cover.
So where we judge movie posters? and like whether we would watch it based on the movie poster.
That's a good one, actually.
Yeah, that's
the only thing is like,
idea.
how do our podcast listeners visualize it? We'll have to.
We
really
might have to
describe
just
it.
do that, like just a YouTube.
Like we'll do a
video
little
series.
2-minute segment of us ASMRing the posters.
Well, it really has a lot of green on it. I'm like to have the worst ASMR voice.
No,
That's
Ben,
like
your
not how
voice is
ASM
soothing.
Once upon a time, in a galaxy far, far away, there was a child named Taika Waititi, and he had the Force. This could be an interesting story, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We join Ben's ASMR stories that combine real-life universes and fake universes of all kinds together into one giant galactic quest. It's called
Grogu, The Force Awakens.
Grogu, The Force Awakens. Starring Taika Waititi.
As Grogu.
As Grogu.
It's a live
Grogu
action.
hasn't spoken yet, so technically...
You know who has spoken?
Who?
What's his name? What's that guy's name? I have spoken.
Who is that guy? What's that from?
It's not Creel. The Creel's... Hold on. That's from Mandalorian.
Yeah.
That's that guy. What's his name? Hold on.
Is that from the first season?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Hold on. I'm gonna find it.
He's like, I have spoken. I don't
Hold up.
Say it like that.
Queel. Yeah, it's hard to pronounce it by the spelling. Queel.
Yeah.
I have spoken. And he's gonna be played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yes. Okay, we got a really good thing going here, guys. This might be the future of the movie vault.
Ben and I are actually playing R2D2 and C-3PO. Ben's C-3PO.
Beep, 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 beep.
No,
Oh,
I'm
I'm
R2D2.
C-3PO.
I'm shorter. And I'm wearing a blue shirt.
R2, why are you doing that?
And you have blonde hair. That's perfect. If you're watching the YouTube video and I'm wearing a blue shirt, I can be R2D2.
And then I'm blonde and wearing a
he's
shirt
tall.
with a picture of myself on
And
it.
he's tall and he talks like C-3PO in real life.
True. Do I?
Yeah. And I
have
just sound
not
like
heard
beeping
that,
noises.
But yeah, Zach can communicate to us purely through beeping noises.
Yeah.
So Zach will just walk in the room and he'll just go. I'm like, oh, I'm glad you're doing well. Oh no. What? Now you guys are wondering, what did he just say? And he said something very shocking. But
find out next week.
Yeah, you'll have to continue on through the cliffhanger.
Brad Pitt will let us know.
Yes, of course. And Leonardo DiCaprio will be like so shocked, and then he'll text his the editor of his those tabloid magazines. He'll text
Time magazine
because he's probably gets money. They probably send him money to make up tabloid stuff about himself.
Huh.
I think that would be an interesting way to make money.
Taika Waititi's magazine.
Okay, I think we need to move on.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Okay, what are we on?
I think, are we on score?
Yeah, we didn't do score.
I gave score a 7, but there were some interesting songs in here.
I gave score a 6, so again, one less than you.
Yeah.
I think it's just mainly it was good, but it didn't stick out. I don't remember a song.
I kind of agree with that. Well, there was the one Beatles song.
Yeah, oh yeah, there was the German "I Want to Hold Your Hand." That was cool.
That was actually cool.
Yeah.
It sounded a lot like the Beatles too. What, did they actually record a German version?
Probably. I mean, they traveled all over the world.
Yeah, but in actual German, that's the thing. Because most of the time, people are like, "Well, I'm an English artist, so you just have to listen to me in English."
Yeah, but Sam Smith, we're calling you out.
Yeah, calling you out here, sir. It's Harry Styles.
Yeah, sorry, Harry.
Yeah.
Although no, Harry did a song where the intro and outro are French.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's Cherry.
Okay. He just did that to be pretentious, probably. What's the song called Cherry?
Hey, maybe.
Maybe.
We don't know. We don't want to be pretentious.
If you want to watch a pretentious movie, watch Velvet Buzzsaw. It's hilarious and it's pretentious. Or
talk to A.O. Scott.
Or talk to A.O. Scott. When we have A.O. Scott on the podcast. A.O. Scott, we challenge you to come on our podcast.
No, we're going to do what KSI and Logan Paul did. We're just going to box each other. Me and Ben versus A.O. Scott and whatever Bradley guy.
What's his face? Peter Bradshaw.
Bradshaw, yeah. Bradshaw and A.O. Scott versus tag team Zach and Ben.
That would be an interesting matchup because, you got us who are sort of skinny. Yeah. I feel like we're not really the natural fighting types.
We fight with our minds.
Yeah.
We're like the Vision.
But then A.O. Scott and Peter Bradshaw are probably older fellows, So I'm not sure how that would turn out. But I don't know what fighting pedigree they have. So
well, if it's WWE rules, then I will bring a small stepladder.
That small step ladder.
No, they're more usable. If you use the long one, you're gonna swing. They just duck. You're dead. Like you're fine, or they're
I
fine.
guess you're true.
So if you get a small
That's
step
true.
ladder, you can just go jab, 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 jab instead of like swing all the way around. You know?
Yeah.
I always
because
wondered.
the swing is so slow.
I always wondered why like the Undertaker would never like bring on. I don't know.
I never watched WWE.
Neither did I, but I watched like YouTube on it.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, that's an interesting concept because I remember I was like 10 when I found out that wrestling's fake, and I was like,
it's fake.
it's fake. Well, spoiler alert for wrestling in general.
What? I didn't even get to watch the season finale. The Masked Singer versus Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Who actually used to be a WWE. Oh, I think that was back when it was called WWF, but they changed the name.
And John Cena.
John.
Dun, 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 dun. And Larry the Cable Guy.
I'm John. I ain't seen a thing.
Larry the Cable Guy versus John Cena.
Oh, that would be a great matchup.
Yeah.
Speaking of that choreography, how was this on a scale of?
I think
I'm trying to think what the bottom of the scale
once
would
again,
be.
I gave it one below you. I gave it a 6.
I gave it a 7. Zach's just more pessimistic than me. Let's face it, guys.
I just don't remember.
That's the case.
I just don't remember a lot of the action. I know there was like some of him running and the bombs going off, and the action at the end was pretty cool.
I just like the way that they run. Like Jojo and Hitler, that first scene where they ran, they looked so ridiculous. And it was like they had a very distinct style about it.
It was funny to see like Hitler flailing while he's running. Like he
Yeah.
is not coordinated at all in this movie.
Taika Waititi looks so ridiculous in this movie.
I think he does it to make fun of Hitler a lot.
Yeah,
So-
which obviously Hitler deserves to be made fun of. It's just they picked
sorry.
like a kooky way to
Or
make
not,
fun
I'm
of
not
him.
sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, obviously not that sorry about it. So my total score is a 75 out of 100 for a 75%, which which puts it at about let's see, 8th place, tied with right under Good Time. No, tied with Good Time, which on second thought I would probably rate Good Time higher, but this is how the rating system turned out. So, and then on Zach's list,
I gave it a 68, so
Which-
it averaged like 71.5.
which is funny because that tied right with Thor Ragnarok with a 68.
no way.
Wait, although the order is wrong on this list, but it's still tied with Thor Ragnarok. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I guess Taika, you're a 68 average for me.
yes,
68 plus 68 divided by 2.
which is not a bad score. We have to keep reminding our viewers and listeners.
Yes, if
Our
you're
scale
newly
is
listening,
difficult.
our motto is, Ben.
You can always be a pessimist.
That's our motto.
That's our motto for our outsider reviews, but then we actually live it out in our own reviews of the movies. We're
Yeah.
like, this is a glowingly, I love this movie so much, it's so good, 75%.
Yeah.
Which most people would be like, what?
I think it's
sort of a
because in
mediocre
school, Ben and I growing up would get those scores, and our parents would tell us those were good scores.
Yeah. And because of that, it's sort of like we got participation trophies, and now we're bucking the trend.
And now those one or two times where we got like 90s, those were like glorious for us. Those are like once in a lifetime
We got a
types of
parade.
things. So we're not used to that. So like for those one or two glorious movies that get 90s, and for that one glorious movie that gets 100. Ooh.
Yeah.
What do you think it'll be, Ben?
I know one that I might rate 100, but I would have to think about it more. Because, that's like a really like weighty decision. That's the problem. That's the inherent problem.
Once you do 100, you can't go back.
The inherent problem with our scale is that it's sort of scary to go high because there's less margin for error. If you say something's like 100%, like you are, like you better be sure about it. And well, since we don't know what we would rate as 100% necessarily, I think part of our problem is we don't know what we're rating against. So like, what is a 10 actually on some of the scores? Which obviously I've given out a couple 10s on different things.
I think I've given like 1 or 2 10s.
I don't even know whether Zach's given any 10s. Ever.
Yeah, I've given like.
I don't see any 10s on
Yeah,
here.
I don't-
He's given some 9s out. He gave a 9 on choreography of Tenet and on choreography of Trolls and on choreography of Swiss Army Man.
Oh no, I thought the choreography of Trolls was sweet. They use their hair.
It is actually kind of cool.
Yeah. I've given no 10s out.
No 10. So I think Zach just needs to. he's
Wait,
just
wait,
scared to
wait.
take
Oh,
the
that's
plunge.
your rankings. Never mind.
I gave a 10 in cinematography of Soul, 10 in originality of Donnie Darko, and originality of Swiss Army Man.
We
for
should
some
make a
reason.
list of all of our 10s. Like our 10s are like the golden things. So like when we go to a certain movie, we'll be like, they got a 10 in this.
I
Watch
gave
it
a
because
10.
of that.
Yeah, I gave a 10 in acting to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I think now I think Good Time, it would be at least a 9, but it would be close to a 10 because Robert Pattinson. But it's just because of Robert Pattinson. That's the hard thing.
True. Nowadays, if I were to watch
everybody
Good Time
has to be
Again,
good.
if we were gonna watch Good Time Again, it would be up on the sentiment scale for me because it was our first movie as a podcast.
So now when you think about it, you're like, wow, that was like a huge moment.
Yeah. Is it like it broke the ground?
That was a great time.
Mm-hmm. It was a great time.
Yeah. All right. Britta Moments with Britta.
Perry.
Okay. Perry the Platypus.
Oh, hi. Hi, you Doofenshmirtz. Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated.
Da-da-ding. Mom! Phineas and Ferb are
making a title sequence. Hey, where's Perry?
I should know how to.
There's so many quotable things in Phineas and Ferb.
That's why it's so good. A lot of people are like, well, it's just repetitive. Yes, that's the point.
It's repetitive, but it's creative to see how they make it repetitive.
Yeah.
Because they're like, okay, like they start out an episode, and you're just like, wait, how are they going to make this episode fit into their generic storyline? So it's like creative. They're like reverse being original.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they should have directed more movies. Because I feel like sometimes movies are they just copy things and then they don't do anything original.
Well, they just made Candace Against the Universe this year.
Oh,
this past year.
Right. Yeah, I need to watch
it. Was pretty good. I liked it. I like Across the Second Dimension more. But
let's stop talking about good things. Let's talk about some bad things about this movie. Where were the plot holes in this movie? The mom was underdeveloped as a character. Maybe.
Yeah, I think ScarJo could have got some more. I also think that Elsa could have got some more screen time. Yeah, they just focused a lot on that. And then just the overall, like, not knowing what's going on in the movie a lot. Like, you're just wondering, like, where is this going until, like, the last, like, 30 minutes. There's not really, like, a plot. Like, he's going through emotional distress, but that's it. There's no, like, driving plot. Like, you don't know that it takes place at the end of the war until, like, the end of the movie when they say that the Russians are coming.
Yeah, you can kind of surmise it, but it is a little bit confusing because at the start of the movie, he's like, well, this war is basically going to be over. We have no chance, but I'm pretending like we do.
Yeah.
That's the one commander guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just a little confusing on the directions. I would say that's the biggest thing for me.
Yes. Yeah, there's really not too many things other than if you don't like how they set up the black comedy, the dark comedy elements. If you don't like that, it's really just don't even bother watching this movie. But other than that, like, there would be just some minor nitpick things.
And should we shout out to who suggested this movie?
Oh, yes. Taylor suggested this movie.
Thank you, Taylor. No last name reveal, but thank you so much. We appreciate you chiming in, and we actually picked your movie.
Is there another movie that we did that she suggested?
Possibly. It might have been Anne.
It might have been Anne.
Possibly because we actually have a list of about, what you say, like 30?
No, it's more than, it's like 60.
Oh my gosh. 60 movies
that
have been suggested.
All of them, so sorry. And because every week we're like, oh, let's just ignore the list. Oh, we totally don't do that, actually.
Well, normally when we have guests, we let the guests pick the movie.
Yeah.
But when it's just Ben and I, or we don't have a movie plan or a guest doesn't want to pick, we just pick from the list. And Taylor, thank you for suggesting this. She probably suggested it a while back.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
I'll text you right after this and let you know that we just recorded it, and I'll let you know when we release it.
Yeah.
I actually just called her today.
Really?
Or she called me today, yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It was fate, possibly.
Yeah. Like as Thanos says.
Yeah. You know that Josh Brolin plays Thanos?
Yeah, Josh.
Yeah.
You didn't know that Andy plays Cable in Deadpool, and they came out in the same year.
Yeah, and so I watched, so Josh Brolin is in No Country for Old Men, which I just watched. And I was like, oh, this guy, he was in Hail Caesar, which is a really random movie to be like, oh, I know this guy from that. And then I looked at it, I was like, whoa, he was in Avengers? Who did he play? He's like, with Thanos? Like, what?
Destiny still arrives.
It's weird because he's like nothing like Thanos in No Country for Old Men. He's like nothing at all like
Dread
Thanos.
it.
I just can't
Run
imagine
from
him
it.
as Thanos.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a cool thing.
I think Thanos has so many quotable things.
That's true.
But Ben and I we're having a very special anniversary episode way in the future for Infinity War and Endgame.
Yes, it'll be epic, and we're previewing it right now on episode 21, which our podcast is now old enough to drink alcohol, guys.
Yeah, clink to
21.
that.
Clink, clink. And we can buy firearms or something.
Despicable Me reference. Remember when the girls are all clinking with the fake tea?
Yeah, I vaguely remember that,
clink.
yes.
And Gru was there.
Yes.
Steve Carell, great actor.
Mm-hmm. Great actor. Stock market, who are we buying stock in? Obviously Taika.
I am buying stock in Taika, and I think this movie just came out like what, last year? Came out in 2019 or 2020?
Yeah, it was last year, like early last year.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna invest, since it's like a recent movie, I'm gonna invest in Roman Griffin Davis or whatever.
I know who I'm not investing in. Nazi Germany.
That is a good point.
It's a terribly bad thing to invest in.
Also, shout out, Taika Waititi will be directing Thor 4, Love and Thunder.
Thor Love is on there.
He'll also, and then ScarJo has her own Black Widow movie coming out.
Yeah,
so you should both invest in those.
And Rebel Wilson, we forgot to mention her. She was hilarious in this movie.
I love her in Pitch Perfect, all three of them.
Yeah, honestly, there's probably a lot of good people to invest in.
And I love her in those new commercials, like the Zoom commercials or something like that.
You know, Stephen Merchant was the guy who co-wrote The Office, and he was in this movie.
Yep, with Ricky Gervais.
And Sam Rockwell was hilarious. There's so many good people.
Sam Rockwell, is he... Hold on, go to his thing. Hold on. He's in... Never mind, I thought he was in something that I saw.
I've heard of some of these movies, but he's an Iron Man too.
That's what it was. Yeah, he plays Justin Hammer. I thought that's who it was.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I thought that's what it was.
He's in a lot of critically acclaimed movies, like Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and Vice, and those kind of things.
I was looking for him.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Some
I was like, Sam Rockwell. He reminds me of Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2, but I guess
that's why. That would explain it.
Because he is from Iron Man 2.
It seems like I remember him being in something else that I knew, because I was like, oh, that guy's Justin Hammer.
It's probably something so obscure that's not even on his list.
It was there's this guy who looked a lot like Elon Musk in Iron Man 2, and then I looked it up, and it was actually Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I knew that.
Yeah, and Elon Musk is... Well, I think that I'm not actually sure how that came to be. Well, I think it was just billionaire type of person.
He was they based Robert Downey's character off of Elon Musk.
Which is pretty insane.
Because now Elon Musk is even more successful than he was when Iron Man 2 came out.
And RDJ and Iron Man are way more successful than they were when Iron Man 2 came out.
Yeah, that's true. A lot has changed. So if you were getting in those people's stock market, if you were investing in Elon Musk stock, actually in real life, you would have probably done really well since 2010.
And it's funny because that movie wasn't even on my top charts. I didn't enjoy it amazingly. I liked it though.
Yeah, Iron Man 2 is sort of a lower level
They shoved a lot into it. It wasn't Jon Favreau's fault.
No. No, it's just, how good can a movie like Iron Man 2 ever actually be though?
Captain America: The Winter Soldier, that's a sequel right there.
Yeah, because the Iron Man movies, I haven't watched the third one, I must admit, but they were sort of smaller scale. So the first one was groundbreaking, obviously, because it started everything, and because of that, I think there's a lot of valuable elements to it. But the second one was just the same scale, and so it just sort of felt this is sort of the same thing. But there were some different things with him fighting with War Machine, whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah, Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
But Rhodey. But I shout out to Jon Favreau for saving not only Marvel when they were about to go bankrupt with Iron Man, but also Star Wars recently. The Mandalorian Season 2, we're not going to talk about it. Maybe we'll do something about it.
Maybe we'll do something about it, but I just finished it. It's really
You finished
good.
it?
Yeah.
Yes, we talked about it. I forgot. Oh, yeah.
It's saving the universe.
Let's just say, you're not going to know what, but Star Wars did it first. Sorry, Marvel.
Sorry. Yeah, and they're making if Star Wars would have first come out now, that's an interesting question. So if Star Wars would have come out at the same time that Iron Man would have come out, which one would have had the better cinematic universe? Because you have to wonder whether they would have made Star Wars more.
Star Wars. I don't think of Star Wars as a cinematic universe at this point yet.
Well, it's not because it wasn't originally intended to
It's the Skywalker saga, and then they're going to try to make a cinematic universe.
The difference, of course, between them is that Marvel is based on comics. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is based on comics,
and
where
Star Wars is off of books.
Was a book / original idea sort of thing.
Sort of. It was books for a while.
There was less source material for Star Wars.
Yeah, but now they have
Yeah, now they have a lot of source material.
And they're basing their new stuff off of that.
But the very first one was just a sort of combination of different ideas.
I will say, we don't know what they're going to do tying in all the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff. Are they going to bring in the Netflix shows? Are they going to include the comics as part of canon?
I think they're going to bring in the Netflix shows.
I don't think that they're going to do that. I think that they're just going to do a clean slate in just Marvel Cinematic Universe under Kevin Feige is going to be Cinematic Universe.
Maybe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because I think that was better tied to the...
It kind of is. The last season doesn't really connect it as much as people wanted. I've seen it. But... and it kind of ignores Thanos' snap altogether as a show, which is kind of ignorant. But also, I get it because they have to do their own thing, and they weren't told about it at all. The directors of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
That's how disconnected they are. It was Marvel TV, which is under Jeff... No, not Jeff.
Some other guy who is now... There's only 2 shows. And one of them is that What's
MODOK.
that? MODOK? That actually looks kind of.
That's actually I think Marvel Television's done. I think MODOK is like, just like Kevin Feige's like, okay, Patton Oswalt, you can make a movie or a show, and it's a comedy. It's like claymation.
No, like MODOK actually looks like kind of funny, but it has nothing to. Yeah, because it's releasing on Hulu.
It's just like a fun thing.
There was more that there was gonna be like 4 on Hulu, and then like 2 of them have already been.
They're gonna
canceled
do Howard the Duck.
For creative different. Yeah, I wanted them to do that.
Yeah.
I need to go back and watch the '80s one.
So yeah, I think that Marvel's like doing a clean slate. Like they're getting rid of all the canon that is loosely connected and just doing the core canon. That's everything is connected. But Star Wars is tying in the Clone Wars, the other animated TV shows like Rebels and what's the other, Resistance, and they're also tying in the books, and they're also tying in like some of the comics, but like they're taking all that and combining it in canon, which makes it so confusing.
Yeah.
But I think that's cool. I think that we get a good approach of each. Like it is nice to have a clean slate so that everything is connected, so that there's not like content that
So
like
it's,
you
like,
miss.
perfect.
Yeah. It's
Concurrency.
like Kevin Feige probably has some OCD. That's what I'm thinking. But it's
yeah,
also
that's why
nice.
He's doing his.
It's
job,
also
yeah.
nice how deep in the continuity you can go into Star Wars, because
And Star Wars universe is literally so big.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
so many things you can.
so
do
many
with it.
books and comics, like books specifically.
Yeah, like I think Star Wars is. And the Marvel universe is big, but I feel Star Wars is even bigger.
You know,
than Marvel.
Star Wars
So-
Galaxy's Edge at Universe or Disney, right? Disney,
Yeah.
yeah. That's canon. The ride is canon.
The ride is canon.
Yeah.
And then 10 years they'll be like, that's not canon anymore, because that's what they did to a lot of the things that used to be canon.
I don't know. I
But-
think Star Wars is trying to make everything canon, and I think Marvel's taking a different approach and just restarting, like canceling Agents
Well,
of
they have
S.H.I.E.L.D..
different canons.
You're-
Like Marvel has like different comic canons, and they have like the cinematic universe is its own canon. It's not like the
Well, the thing
comics
is they
are taking
connect
place
them-
in the same universe as the.
Well,
I mean,
they're-
there might be some comics that are actually, but
They were trying to predict. They're saying that they might connect them through the multiverse, because there's like Earth, this Earth, this Earth, this Earth.
right.
But then DC's kind of just doing their own thing, where they literally combined everything.
DC,
They combined the CW with the actual DCEU or whatever. So
yeah, and the DCEU I think was just they just didn't develop it very well, from what I've heard, because
Wonder
I
Woman
haven't.
84. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. I don't I'm thinking any DCEU.
I'm not a big
movies,
fan, actually.
because
I'm sorry.
I'm
I love the
actively-
first one.
I just don't really go out of my way to watch DC movies, because other than the Nolan Batman, but those have nothing to do with the DCEU.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's like the only thing that they didn't tie in when they did
But
that
I'm glad they
CW
did it,
crossover.
because the Nolan Batmans are just like
leave it
crime-
alone. Don't touch it.
They're just crime dramas that happen to have Batman in them. They're not necessarily
Yeah.
particularly like Batman as in the way that they would tie in with the extended DC universe. Anyway, we're really got off topic here, but we've had a lot of stuff on our mind to get out. So,
Yeah.
You might be asking what Jojo Rabbit has to do with any of this, and the answer is it doesn't. But, I hope that if you're listening to a movie podcast, you'll like Star Wars and Marvel enough to listen to this part.
I'm pretty sure most people out there at least like one.
At least like
Unless
one of
they're a DC fan and hate Star Wars.
them. DC fan
I'm
that
sorry.
hates Star Wars.
Well, at least we had like 30 seconds.
Or you're
of
like,
DC.
I like Harry Potter. There's some of those people. Or Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings.
Caleb likes both of those.
Lord of the Rings is probably like a better, like in terms of like all put together fantasy.
Because they haven't like overdone it yet.
No, and because J.R.R. Tolkien, even though the movies didn't do it perfect, he's a pretty detail oriented person. So
Yeah, trust
he
me,
had
those
a
books
lot
are
of
thick.
history in his books.
The lore in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
That's why they
But it's
call
also
it Lord
he just
of
made
the
it
Rings.
to play around with language. So he's one of those people.
It's like Star Trek. You have to learn Klingon to be a true fan.
Yeah, you have to learn Elvish.
Okay.
Okay. So what's our conclusions on the movie?
I think I said it. I like it a lot. I think Taika Waititi's a brilliant director, brilliant actor. He has that off-putting comedy. He has that the wit, the banter, also the just awkwardness of how he talks and the awkwardness of the scene. Sometimes it just makes you laugh and sometimes cringe, but more laugh because you know that's what he's trying to do. It's not like The Office where it's like so cringy that it, sometimes it hurts, but it's like he's cringy on purpose and like off-putting on purpose to the point where you laugh because it's actually genuinely funny.
Yes. And sometimes it's better to learn through the eyes of a child, because you realize that sometimes you are viewing life through a childlike lens, which is that you are taking everything at face value and not trying to explore the nuances and the differences in your perspective and receive critique for the way that you think about things, and that's
My life as a zucchini.
Yeah, that's also a similar thing. So it's good to learn through the eyes of a child sometimes, and that's what this movie presents.
Yeah.
Social media plugs always: the Movie Vault Pod at the Movie Vault Pod on Instagram, at Movie Vault Pod on Twitter, the Movie Vault Pod at gmail.com for any of your thoughts, concerns, movie suggestions. You just want to yell at us, whatever.
All of those has happened, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Also,
you want to point out something that is wrong with the facts that we say, because we definitely do not fact check everything that we say.
Yeah, and please let us know. Like, we do want to know. Like, we genuinely want you to tell us.
Yeah, because we don't want to be wrong. We just are sometimes.
Yeah, and we admit that because we're so humble.
Because we're just the most humble people, Zach.
Yeah, remember Drax in Guardians 2? He says, I too am extraordinarily humble.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, we also have a YouTube channel coming up very soon. We're filming this right now, but we don't actually have the channel created or up. So once we do that, we're going to put it in the link if you're on the podcast.
Description,
and if you're watching on YouTube, then you already found it. So
yeah. Then thank you. And hopefully we didn't look too awkward because this is our first video.
It's going to be awkward closing the vault on YouTube, I just realized.
Yeah.
Should we do motions with it now?
Motions, yeah, we do motions. So if you're new on YouTube and you haven't listened to our other episodes, we always close the vault because we're the movie vault. So we get in the vault.
Wait, no.
No, wait. We open the vault so you can see us in the vault.
And then we leave the vault when we're done.
No.
Wait, we stay in the vault overnight?
We're in the vault forever.
So then why is the door open the whole time?
The door's open so people could see us.
Wait, I never thought of that. Hold on. So we go outside the vault.
Yeah, the only time
and then we go back
the
in.
Vault is to record.
So that one makes sense. Like we go outside the vault, come back in, but that means we're inside the whole time.
We're welcoming people into the movie vault.
And then we close it after they leave.
Yeah.
Okay, well thank you for coming to the movie vault. It's time for you to leave. Ben and I have to make snow angels in our wealth.
And our DVD, and we have DVDs and money.
With DVDs? That makes us sound poor.
I mean Blu-rays.
No, 4Ks.
We have USBs with digital downloads on them.
No, we have those codes, like the movie streaming codes.
Yeah.
Actually, we have an illegal downloader. No, we don't. That was fake. For legal reasons, that's a joke PewDiePie reference.
Okay, but we got to close the vault, so we got to figure out how we're going to do this. Because there's only one door, right? So who's going to, So
I got
it this way? Okay.
I got it this time.
Okay, you got it. All
right.
Say
it is
now time to close the vault. Okay, so we got to make sure everyone's out. Okay, get out. Oh, hundreds of people, they're storming out of the vault.
Get out of here, you sheep.
It's time to leave. Okay.
And...